Okay, welcome back then. And our guest is Brigadier General Sani Kukasheka Usman, retired. He's a strategic communications expert and former director, the Nigeria Army Public Relations. In the meantime, when we went on break, General, Kesandu in Owerri called in. So let me take his question. Good morning, Kesandu.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to the General.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, sir.
I so much appreciate. Uncle Yori, I want to say, and I just want to ask the General a few questions while I also make this statement.
Okay.
General, sir, at this time, because over the time this present administration has actually told us how they are going to name those responsible for this. Because, sir, I strongly believe that these guys cannot be having these sophisticated weapons and having these attacks they're having if they do not have people behind them who give them arms, that provide them with food, and before they now collect ransom. Sir, what is actually holding the government from actually publishing the names of those behind this and arresting them and taking them to court for justice to take its full course? And secondly, sir, do you believe that this whole terrorism thing and act of banditry in Nigeria has something to do with politics? Are there politicians in Nigeria that you think that are responsible? Because the former head of state, military head of state, once said in this country that when insurgency lasts for more than 24 hours, there are people who should hold responsible. So what is your take, sir, on this? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kesandu. So, General, over to you.
Well, first and foremost, you see, every day the issue of political will is equally very important in governance. And given the context of Nigerian society, we have to emphasize on the issue of rule of law and strengthening our institutions and criminal justice system so that whoever commits infraction, regardless of magnitude, the system will take care of him or her. But when you have more or less like a divided society, the perception of issues, we're working at cross purposes with each other, you have the problem that we are having now. And that is why the emphasis should be on the whole society approach, whereby the government or whoever that is statutorily responsible for carrying out a particular duty or function, if he or she felt, the system will deal with him. And of course, the society as it is also have a tremendous role to play by bringing out things to the fore and ensuring that such is done. Now, that is where I think we need to improve. We have done so much in terms of, ensuring coordination, cooperation, and synergy of efforts among the components of the Nigerian security architecture. It has to be the same with the Nigerian society. And sometimes we allude to all these things because we fail to really educate Nigerians on the nuances of democratic governance and the bureaucracy involved during the Abdulsalami transition period. I know for the armed forces, there was a 15-year transformation program, between 2015 up to 2000, in which issues, attitudinal change and all the rest, although people tend to say that it has not been carried out to the letter, but the argument here is that you cannot in any way transform in isolation with the Nigerian society, because the military as it is also part and parcel of the Nigerian society. And unless we go back and reorient so that people will understand that they have enormous power and they have enormous role, enormous power in the sense that they hold their leaders accountable and enormous role to play because everything revolves around people that they have to contribute also. So basically that is it. I don't speak for the government in terms of that issue. Then as regards to the issue of politicians or other components of Nigerian society having a role in the security challenges, of course you cannot rule out the issue of the war economy that is associated with complex situations. And I give you an example. Just like you made mention of the kidnapper. Some of us that come from the rural communities, we grew up in a system, in a society where we know virtually almost everybody. Even if you left home for 10, 15 years, by the time they told you a particular family, you know what they are capable of doing or what they are not capable of doing. Most of these criminal elements in the society, they were notorious elements. Eventually, the society tolerated them to the extent they grow up to what they are now. Now,
okay,
the issue
one moment,
of
sir.
war economy,
One moment,
let me
sir.
go back
I beg
to
your
it.
pardon.
People
One moment,
sustain.
sir. A viewer has been holding on. I'm so sorry. A viewer has been holding on for quite a long while. So you return. As it is, we lost him. So this gives me a chance to interject with some other area that I need a clarification on, because
Okay. Before you do that, please, can I learn in respect of this war economy concept? Because a lot of people have role to play.
Go ahead,
for
General.
instance, yes, the people that supply them weapons, the informants. And I don't believe an average Fulani man, so to speak, or herdsman, will be moving about in the bush with 5 to 10 million naira. You are moving with even 500,000 on your body on the streets of Lagos. Is a bit dangerous, talk less of having, millions of naira with you in the bush. So who invests that money? Who is the person that always acts as a go-between, negotiating for ransom? So a lot of people tend to benefit. Of course, you remember the fact that there were allegations some of these people were armed simply because of political expediency. So it is not just the politicians. A lot of Nigerians have, unfortunately, role to play in the escalation of this complex situation. And unless we look at it critically and make sure that these people are fished out, these people that are benefiting from it, then we will continue to have problems. We have had instances, people that have never seen certain amount of money in their life, suddenly you see them building houses, suddenly you see them with flashy cars, their lifestyles have changed, and you don't have the moral courage to ask why. So these are the issues. And even if you ask why, you will be seen as one of those people that are, kind of deviant or something like that. Unless we go back to those issues, I think we'll still be having problems.
You raised some very interesting points, General. Maybe we'll be able to touch on some of them. Especially there's one I wanted to touch on when you spoke about the military, the police, in fact, the entire security architecture. They're part of the Nigerian society. But let me not keep Mazi Okorafor waiting anymore. Good morning, Mazi Okorafor.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, our guest. That's Mazi Okorafor. You see, African continent is facing a serious breakdown of peace because of terrorism. You see, when the former British Prime Minister came to Nigeria in Lagos, after he said, all these things you are calling these insurgents, government, or no, whether government or fire and we call them, that all of them are terrorists. Terrorists. In Nigeria, Nigerian states refuse to fight terrorism squarely. Because why am I saying this? States are the main actors. How do states are the main actors? Look at the local government authorities. See what is happening in local government. People cannot go to farm. That is why the scarcity of food in the market, cost of living very high. How do we solve this? That's what we should tell about. We should go to the causes. The security men are there. We should go down to all this issue of drones. I was sitting down when I was watching what they're showing now. They say drone you use your phone. That's to monitor. How does sales operate? As I was instead of going to a high level that we are still using all this moving around, carrying soldiers. You don't need soldiers around to bring everything around. The drone are there. How much does the drone cost? Bring in people, young boys and young girls, train them, let them make use of drone and get this thing squarely. That is only because fighting terrorism now is purely digital. It's no longer analog. Let us face it. I saw the army, they gave the soldiers a bicycle. I said, are they going to use bicycle and fight terrorism inside the market or inside the bush? I said, okay, congratulations. But do you know one thing? The Sudan, Mali, this is where they have the highest, the hardest, we are talking about El Shabaab, the hardest boys now that they are only just destroyed. They are not interested. Now you ask yourself, now what is happening in Ukraine and Russia? You see, for people hired themselves to come down to Africa to fight, can't you prevent all this? All these loopholes, the environment is so porous. That is why now we should be thinking about how do these ammunitions come to Nigeria?
Okay.
How?
All right.
Where? If we can't stop it, there is no way we can fight terrorism.
Okay, thank you very much, Mazi Okorafor, and also for holding on all that while. In fact, Mazi Okorafor went to the extent of calling in again when the call dropped. Now, General, what you were saying there, you know, when President Muhammadu Buhari, whose tenure will be wrapping up, is in the process of wrapping up right now, and by the May 29th, he will be handing over. When he came, before he came, Nigerians actually were jubilant in talking about security because that's where expertise is with the military, and him being such an experienced person in the military, one felt that he would know all the nooks and crannies, and Nigeria was in for a good time because we had a former military general as our president. In the event, it didn't quite pan out like that. Maybe, is there an opportunity now that there will be a change of guard come the 29th of April to look at things differently? Or are we just condemned to, if a military general couldn't really tackle this problem, what hope does anybody else have? Or is that too simplistic a way to put it?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank Mazi Okorafor, and then secondly, I want you to understand that yes, he's quite right about the use of technology in dealing with the security challenges that we are having, and that is why I made mention of equipping, training the police and the other security agencies, and to even ask to what extent have we invested in our policing system over the time. But I can rest assure you the government has been doing marvelously well in terms of equipping the armed forces, the security forces, particularly the armed forces, and I know precisely for the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, to the point that they have improved the maritime environment, as it were, and enhancing our blue economy, and now they have even started constructing ships locally. As for the Nigerian Air Force, we wouldn't have had, the successes that we have had if not because of the Super Tucanos and, of course, unmanned aerial vehicles that they have in their holding. And that is why, if you recall back, sometimes the government had to designate the bandits and the kidnappers as terrorists, because we have some Nigerians that are also concerned about human rights, that they are Nigerians, but they seems not to be on the same page with us in terms of the security challenges that we have. Because we have had instances, a Nigerian will write to either United States government or the United Nations against his own Nigerian state based on certain things. And of course, that is why they have to design them, those kind of terrorists, to warrant the use of such high caliber weapons on them. So that is it. So, and they are doing very well. Then, unless again we stop working at cross purposes, we will continue to have that problem. And that is why the whole society approach, so that Nigerians will stop politicizing security issues. Let us understand that, look, unless we put our heads together to deal with these issues, it will continue to be haunting us. Now, about hope and expectations.
I'm so sorry, General.
I can rest assure you
I must do this, General. I'm so sorry, General. I beg your pardon. I really am sorry. But Ada in Jos has called in. And
in Jos.
Good morning, Ada. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning to your guest. Yori, let me tell you something. I don't even believe that there was a decline. The resurgence, there's always been this insecurity. So it's not a question of resurgence. Lack of political will to deal with insecurity, fiscal federalism, the structure, the way it is going to be difficult. So it's not about whether a general became our president or what. If Ashwati comes in and he doesn't practice this fiscal federalism, he's been singing like a song, just like APC did, the Buhari administration, and yet they decisioned it. We are still going to have the same problem. So I think security, if we have the practice fiscal federalism, it will trickle down to the local government. Most criminal actions are local.
Okay.
And
Okay.
insecurity can also be tackled from a socio-economic viewpoint. You understand? So let them cut down the cost of government. Let them pay halt to all these their hardship allowance or whatever allowances, and face good governance.
Okay.
All the same, let's not deal with Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Ada, for calling in. General, a point you made earlier that the military and the police, whoever else is concerned with security, these people are also part of the Nigerian society. But you know, General, what the Nigerian society is like, that these people are a part of. Professionally, there's no quarrel. These people know their job. They are highly trained. But the fact that the society doesn't even know that it can trust our security personnel. I have often heard, see something, say something. Well, a lot of Nigerians know that you got to look at that advice with caution. You see something, you say something. The same architecture could actually let the bad guys know who said something that has led to the trouble that they have now. So that's why I try to separate between professionalism. Yep, they're professionals, they know how to go about their job. But is it a psychological one where they won't take care of the very ordinary bloody civilian that is contributing to their efforts?
Well, I don't speak for them, but the truth is that you see, Nigeria is such a complex society, and dealing with issues, especially about security, is equally very, very complex. And more so, it kept on evolving. And remember the fact that due to the globalizations, there is this copycat syndrome and influence of foreign culture because of the technology and all the rest of the thing. And that is where we really need to go back to the drawing board, that beyond with the people, what does Nigeria aspire to be? You know, what is it that we are all, you know, on concert with in terms of our media system, in terms of security, and in terms of other value system? And unless we stop, you know, working at cross purposes, we'll continue to have problems. Now, let's look at it. What is the duration of the training at the Nigerian Defense Academy? You know, the ground training group and the various training institutions of the police and the armed forces. The duration is the same. But the value system of Nigerians agree that they have been, you know, changing their curriculum and what have you. But the value system of the Nigerian society has changed. Take, for instance, again, initially there was no need for any psychological test if you are enlisting as a...
Okay, well, we lost the general there briefly, I hope, momentarily, but I think he was just about to sort of explain to us that the finely trained military personnel, soldier, you know, airman, you know, or Navy man. Okay, General, you're back. You went momentarily. So
I'm so surprised actually. I was hearing you all through, except for a moment, you know, when you saw the color. So what I was trying to say is that the value system of the Nigerian society has changed, and the security forces are trying to also meet up with the change in value system. You know, and I was talking about initially there was no need. In the days that we enlisted, there wasn't a need for any psychological, you know, test for us, because we have had a wonderful upbringing. So the military just built on those value systems, you know, in secondary school. Even if you attended, you know, both day secondary school or high school as it is, because in those days it is even much better for you to be reported to a principal than to be reported to the principal, because the discipline, you know, the sense of, you know, responsibility was much higher. But now, yes, the psychological test has to be, you know, brought in. And I will give you an example. Some time back, a particular individual whose son was disqualified from enlisting into the army, he was furious and he wanted to know why. And eventually he was, you know, they were so kind enough, they brought him and brought the son. And they said, look, your son has been a substance abuser for many years. And lo and behold, that he has been taking cannabis for the past 3 years, and the father did not know. Not till when the boy started telling him that, look, on the day, so date, you kept so amount of money. I was the one who stole it. I did this, I did that. And the man broke into tears. And there are so many parents like that. Sometimes it is not their fault. Sometimes most of us parents also encourage or indulge this our children. And that is what the military had to contend with in terms of training. And the very day you manage somebody as a cadet in the academy, you will manage him up to general. So people have to understand that value system that is equally very important about our society, and that is exactly what you are having now, as it were. I'm not saying the quality of training has diminished, no, but this is the kind of challenge that we go through.
The world is changing.
The same thing with the university system. Several people, I believe even in your office you have corpus deployed to you. You look at the corpus that were under you 10 years ago and the corpus deployed to you nowadays. So these are the issues that we have to take into consideration. And that is why the Nigerian society has to come out. Every country, every nation, they have their value system. They have things that they cherish that you can say this. Now, right, Nigerian society, we have traveled outside, they will say, look, when you say Nigeria, they will say football, Okocha, and the rest of them. Now, we are even the jollof rice of countries have taken it away from us. So, what is it? What are those value systems that we have to cherish, that the world will look up to us? And remember, there was a time, in fact, who was it, that was saying, look, they look up to Nigeria. I think we are discussing about electoral process and what have you. They said, look, most of these African countries, they are copying from us. So you have to really be there, not only for yourself, for your family, for your country, for the larger part of the world society, so that people will appreciate and understand. And it comes with a lot of inconveniences, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of responsibilities.
I beg your pardon, General. But you know, the time and our producers are not Democrats, so I'm so sorry, but we're going to have to leave it there. But thank you. Thank you very much.
They should learn to be Democrats.
Indeed. Thank you very much, General, for coming on our program this morning. Appreciate your sharing your knowledge with us. Okay, so that's our program today then. Please join us tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.